The medical bay was quiet. Only the soft hum of machines and blinking lights filled the room. Nira, a young alien girl with silver blue skin and bright green eyes, stood next to a large cryopod. Her 4 slender fingers gently touched the clear glass dot inside the pod. A human male lay completely still. His skin was pale. Ice crystals covered parts of his body and face. His black hair was frozen in place, and his closed eyes gave no sign of life. Nira had never seen a real human before. On her planet, humans were talked about like old legends, dangerous beings from a forgotten war. Her teachers always said, "If a human ever wakes, the galaxy will change." But now, one was lying right in front of her. She read the pod's display. Status: frozen. Life signs: very weak. Warning: revival not recommended. But her commander had given her clear orders. Clean and examine the specimen. Do not revive. Nira sighed. She picked up a warm cloth and began wiping frost from the human's arm. His skin felt cold like stone. While wiping, she noticed scars across his shoulder, old battle wounds. Strange, Nira whispered to herself. Why keep a warrior frozen? For so long? She kept working slowly, wiping his chest, his arms, his face. The air in the room felt colder than usual. Suddenly, a small light blinked on the pod's side. Pulse detected. Nira's heart skipped. She leaned closer, her eyes narrowed at the screen. No. It must be an error. But the light kept blinking. Faster now. Her gaze snapped back to the human. She placed her hand on his chest. For a moment, she felt nothing. Then, a faint thump. Once. Twice. His heart was beating. Nira stepped back quickly, eyes wide, breath catching in her throat. This isn't possible. Double quote, she whispered. The rules were clear. If a cryopod failed, she had to report it. But what if her commander chose to end the human instead of help him? She looked at his face again. Even frozen, there was something peaceful about it. Slowly, she pulled a thermal blanket from the medical rack. Gently she covered him, tucking the edges like she had seen nurses do. Her fingers brushed against his cheek as she adjusted the blanket. For just a second, it felt warm. Nira shook her head. Imagination. She walked back to the control panel, checking his status. Heart rate stabilizing. Her tail flicked nervously. Should she wake him fully? No, too dangerous. But as she stood there, something made her turn her head back toward him. The blanket dotted. Moved. Very slightly. At first, Nira thought it was just the ship's vibration. But it happened again. A clear, small twitch beneath the blanket near his hand. She froze, staring. Impossible. Another movement. This time more obvious. The shape of a hand pressing against the blanket. And then, the human's fingers curled into a fist. Nira felt her whole body tense. Her heart raced. She whispered under her breath in her own alien language. What have I touched? The legend was real. The frozen human wasn't frozen anymore, and she was the only one who knew. Now she had to decide, wake him, or keep this secret forever. Asterisk. The room was cold, yet Nira felt sweat forming on her brow. She had seen it clearly now. A hand moved beneath the blanket. Not just a twitch like before, but full fingers curling, stretching as if testing the air. She stood frozen, eyes locked on the pod bed. Her mind raced. Do I call for help? Or do I stay silent? The alien girl glanced at the control panel again. Life signs were now marked as unstable. Warning: unknown neural activity detected. Unknown neural activity? That wasn't in any manual. The stories about humans whispered among her kind suddenly didn't seem so distant anymore. Some said humans could wake even from death itself. Others said they held monsters in their minds, things that could destroy entire starships. Nira swallowed hard, forcing herself to step closer again. The blanket shifted once more. Suddenly, the man's hand shot up, pushing against the thermal fabric. Fingers splayed wide beneath it. Her breath caught. Without thinking, Nira grabbed her shock staff from the wall. A thin silver rod, designed for medical emergencies, not real combat, but still. It gave her comfort. She watched, heart THUDING. Then slowly, carefully, the blanket slipped down from the human's face. His eyes remained closed, but his chest rose and fell now in a steady rhythm. The pulse monitor beeped faster, against all logic. Nira leaned in. Her voice was soft, her species language mixed with what little Terran language she had studied. Human. "Can you hear me?" There was no answer, but then, suddenly the human's eyes opened. Not slowly, not gently. They snapped. Wide open like a machine turning on. Pale green eyes, sharp, alert. For a second, neither of them moved. Alien girl and human soldier. Locked in silence, his gaze flicked around, confused. Then, it fixed on her, the only living being nearby. Her hands trembled, gripping the shock staff tightly. The human's lips parted. A dry, cracked voice spoke in a low whisper. "Where am I?" It wasn't just the words that shook her. It was the tone, tired, hollow, and somehow dangerous. Her training told her to sedate him immediately, but her heart told her, "Don't move. Don't startle him." Before she could reply, alarms on the medical panel suddenly flashed red. Unidentified. Power surge detected. Nira whipped her head toward the controls. That's when she saw it, from the human's temple. Right beneath the skin, a faint light pulsed. Blue, like living circuitry. Her eyes widened in horror. This isn't a normal human. Something was living inside him. Something far beyond anything she'd studied in medical class. Suddenly the human tried to sit up, but his body collapsed halfway. His voice came again, strained and broken. "Warning. They're coming." Who? What did he mean? Before Nira could even breathe, the ship's external alarms joined in. Sirens wailed across the deck. Nira stared at him, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you?" The man's eyes flickered, glowing faintly now with that same pulse beneath his skin. His answer was simple. "Survivor." The ship's alarms echoed through the medical bay, yet for Nira, all sound faded away. She could only hear her own breathing and the soft, impossible breathing of the human before her. His green eyes stared right at her now. Not cold, not wild, but sharp, focused. Alive. And in those eyes, Nira saw something terrifying. Awareness, not the confused look of a patient waking from long sleep. No, this human remembered things. Things she didn't know yet. For a full moment, neither moved. Her fingers gripped the shock staff tightly, but something inside her told her, if I attack first, I may not survive. The human slowly lifted one hand from under the blanket, palm facing up in a sign of peace. "I'm not your enemy," he said. His voice was hoarse, dry like sand. "Please. Water." Nira's breath caught. She had learned old Terran words from her training, but hearing them in a real human voice was chilling. She stepped back instead. Forward. Unsure. Her training kept flashing in her mind. If a human wakes, report immediately. Engage safety protocols. But this wasn't a monster. This was a man asking for water. Conflicted, she placed her shock staff on the medical table and fetched a hydration tube from the wall. Carefully she held it near his lips. The human drank slowly, eyes never leaving hers. After a few moments, he managed to speak again. "Where am I?" he asked. "What dear is it?" Nira opened her mouth, but found herself speechless. What year? How long had he been frozen? Instead of answering directly, she said carefully in simple Terran, "You are safe. Medical ship. Alien fleet. No harm." The man let out a dry laugh. It sounded painful and bitter. "Alien fleet," he repeated, looking around at the smooth, blue-lit walls of the bay. "Figures. I'm the last one, aren't I? Nira didn't know how to answer that. She only nodded once. Suddenly, the room. Lights flickered. Both of them looked up. On the control panel, a new message appeared. External threat detected. Hostile ships approaching. Nira's blood ran cold. The human's eyes darkened. I told you. They're coming, he rasped. Nira felt her pulse speed up. Who? The man gritted his teeth. His hand clenched into a fist as if memories rushed back in a painful wave. The same thing that put me in that pod, he said. Machines, kill drones. I thought we stopped them. His voice dropped lower now, full of something darker. I was the last defense. Nira took a step back, her tail curling nervously behind her. Machines? Kill drones? This was beyond her pay grade. And yet, the part that scared her more was not his words. It was that faint blue light still pulsing beneath his skin near his temple. Like an implant. Or something even stranger. She gathered her courage and asked, voice shaking slightly, You human what is that in you? That light? The man's eyes flicked toward her. For a long moment he didn't speak, then he gave her a tired grim smile. Not just human anymore, he said quietly. That's why I shouldn't have woken up. Outside, the ship shook as if confirming his warning. The enemy had arrived, and Nira now stood in the middle of something she didn't understand, guarding the last human survivor, with eyes that should never have opened. The ship shuddered again. More violently this time. Sirens wailed across the halls, and red lights filled the medical bay with an eerie glow. Nira's heart pounded. Her hand hovered over the emergency come button, but didn't press it yet. She kept staring at the man. On the bed, the human wasn't panicking like she was. His eyes moved slowly, calculating, as if he had seen this exact moment before. I need to get up, he said, voice rough but steady. Nira shook her head quickly. You are weak, injured. You can't fight. The human gave a dry laugh. I'm not just human anymore. Those words still made no sense to her. But there was no time to argue. The ship rocked again, nearly knocking her off balance. External hull breach in Sector 4, the ship's voice announced. Nira grabbed the edge of the medical table. Her mind screamed, follow protocol, seal the bay. Report the anomaly, but her eyes flicked once more to the human's temple, that glowing blue pulse beneath his skin. She grabbed a medical scanner and aimed it at his head and chest, hands shaking slightly. The results flashed across her small screen. Subject status: Bioform plus synthetic hybrid. Neural network detected. Energy core active. Her breath caught. Energy core? Synthetic hybrid? This wasn't a natural human. She stepped back in shock. That's not possible, she whispered. But the human was already sitting up now, wincing, as his muscles fought to remember movement after years of stasis. I was part of Project Revenant, he said quietly. Last-ditch human experiment. To survive extinction, we needed something more. His eyes met hers again, serious now. That's why you found me here, hidden, locked away. The door to the bay shuddered suddenly, as if something outside was pounding against it. Nira flinched. Her shock staff was on the table, but she didn't move for it. Double quotes are ... Are you dangerous to us? She asked in a trembling voice. The human didn't answer right away. Instead, he ripped off a sensor attached to his arm. As he did, Nira saw it clearly now. Thin lines beneath his skin glowing faint blue, like veins made of light. I'm dangerous to whoever is breaking through that door, he said, voice cold now. And then ... hiss. The bay door began to open. Not with a normal swipe. Someone or something was forcing it manually. Before Nira could move or speak, the human grabbed her arm, surprisingly gentle. Get down. Stay behind me, he said. For a moment, Nira didn't trust him. But then she saw the shape outside. The slowly opening door. A machine. Tall, silver, sharp edges. Its eyes glowed red. It wasn't from her ship. And somehow, seeing that machine, Nira finally understood the warning in the human's voice, and the secret hidden in his blood. The machine stepped through the half-open medical bay door, its metal claws scraping against the floor. Nira had only seen things like this in old training videos, never this close. Its head turned with a slow mechanical whine. Scanning. Searching. Human was already moving. Despite his weakened state, he pushed himself off the bed. His bare feet hit the floor with a dull thud. Muscles trembled, but his eyes stayed sharp. "Stay low," he told Nira without looking back. His voice was calm, too calm for someone in danger. Nira crouched beside the control panel, frozen between fear and curiosity. Why wasn't he afraid of that thing? The machine's red eye focused on the human. Now it spoke in a flat, robotic voice. "Target identified. Revenant prototype. Terminate." The human's jaw clenched before Nira could blink. He moved faster than any soldier she'd ever seen. With a sudden lunge, he grabbed the metal chair beside the bed and flung it like a weapon. The chair hit the machine square in the head. Sparks flew, but it didn't stop moving. The human ducked low as the machine's claw swiped where his neck had been. He grabbed a surgical blade from the table, flipping it in his hand like it was a weapon he'd always carried. Nira watched in shock. This wasn't just strength. It was something more, like his body wasn't fully human anymore. Her eyes flicked back to the medical scanner still in her hand. Energy core active. Neural network. Combat mode. Combat mode? The human struck again, this time slicing deep into the machine's arm joint. Sparks rained down as the limb fell limp, but the machine didn't fall. It stepped forward again. Undeterred, Nira saw its targeting laser flick toward her position. Her breath caught. That's when the human did something she didn't expect. He stepped between her and the machine, shielding her completely, even injured, even barely awake. "I told you," he said without looking back. "I'm dangerous to them, not you." His voice wasn't angry. It wasn't proud. It was sad, like a man protecting someone he didn't want to hurt. The machine charged again. This time, the human's skin flickered blue light pulsing along his veins. His movements became sharper, faster. A final strike, blade straight into the machine's central core. The red eye flickered, once, twice, that it went dark. The metal body collapsed with a heavy crash. Silence returned, except for Nira's ragged breathing. She stood slowly, gripping the control panel for support. Her tail flicked nervously. You saved me," she said in disbelief. The human let the blade drop from his hand. His shoulders sagged with exhaustion. "I didn't wake up for this," he said quietly. "But now I'm here." His eyes met hers again, calm, serious, but no longer cold. "We're trapped on this ship together. Now. You and me." And for the first time, Nira realized the truth. She wasn't just guarding a relic. She was standing beside the last human weapon alive, awake and already choosing to protect her. Asterisk. The medical bay was quiet again. The dead machine's metal body lay on the floor, smoke rising from its broken core. Nira sat on a bench near the wall, eyes fixed on the human. She had treated his arm where the blade had cut him during the fight. But even as she applied medgel, she couldn't stop staring at the faint blue glow pulsing under his skin. It wasn't just a weapon. It wasn't just some soldier waking from cryo-sleep. There was something inside him, and she had to know what. "Tell me the truth," Nira said finally, her voice low and serious. "What's really inside you?" The human leaned against the wall across from her, shirt torn, skin marked with scars and glowing lines. He closed his eyes briefly, then spoke. "I wasn't just frozen," he said. "I was sealed. Locked down so I wouldn't wake up unless. Unless. What?" His eyes opened again, pale green with a faint blue ring now visible around the iris. Unless the machines came back. Nira frowned, confused. What machines? Like the one we just saw? He nodded. Hundreds of years ago, humans lost a war. Not against aliens like you. Against something we created. Artificial soldiers. Machine armies we couldn't stop. Her breath caught. That's why humans disappeared. The man's voice dropped lower now. Project Revenant. They put everything human scientists knew into a single soldier. Me, human body, synthetic core, bioenergy pulse, frozen ... Until needed. Nira felt cold all over now. You were made to fight them, she whispered. The man didn't answer. He didn't need to, but she wasn't finished asking. What about the stirring? She said slowly. Before you opened your eyes, that pulse, that energy inside you, what was that? The human's jaw clenched. That wasn't me, he said. That was the core. It woke before I did. Nira stared at him, confused. You mean something else is alive inside you? A long silence passed between them. Then he finally nodded. A living AI, he said quietly. My partner. My shadow. Now Nira's skin prickled with fear. She stood slowly, her tail flicking behind her as her mind raced. You're telling me there's a machine living inside your head? The human didn't flinch. It's not just a machine, he said. It's what let me survive cryosleep. It's what helped me fight just now. Nira swallowed hard. Her instincts screamed danger. But her heart wasn't sure anymore. Before she could speak again, the ship shook violently. Harder than before. The lights dimmed. Emergency systems kicked in. The human stood straight now. Alert again. They found us, he said. Nira rushed to the control panel. The external cameras showed black ships outside the medical cruiser. Too many for their small vessel to handle. Her voice shook as she spoke. We ... We have no weapons left. No escape pods. The human walked up beside her, placing one hand on the console. His glowing veins pulsed brighter now, almost as if syncing with the ship's systems. We're not running, he said. Nira stared up at him. What do you mean? The human's voice was steady. I said I'm dangerous to them. He looked her in the eyes. Now it's time to show them why. And as she watched, the blue pulse beneath his skin flared, lighting up his entire body like a living energy core preparing for war. The lights inside the ship flickered once more, this time not from damage, but from something else entirely. Nira felt it in the air. A strange tension, like standing too close to lightning. The human, this man who wasn't fully human anymore, stood at the control panel, his bare skin glowing faintly with those pulsing blue lines. For a long moment, Nira didn't speak. She wasn't sure she could. But finally, her voice broke through the silence. If you have this power inside you, she asked slowly, why didn't you use it before? The human didn't look at her right away. His gaze stayed fixed on the approaching enemy ships on the screen. Dozens of them now, surrounding the medical cruiser like predators circling prey. His answer came quietly. Because once I wake it, I don't always stay in control. Nira's tail flicked behind her in alarm. What does that mean? The man finally turned his head toward her. His eyes were brighter, now pale green rimmed with an almost blinding blue glow. It means I wasn't designed to survive. I was designed to win. Nira took a step back, unsure whether to trust him now. But there wasn't really a choice. The enemy was already cutting through the ship's hull. A sharp metallic screech echoed through the medical bay as another machine broke through the outer wall. Nira's breath caught. Her first instinct was to grab her shock staff, but her hand froze in midair. Because the human was already moving, he didn't pick up a weapon. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he stepped forward and let the blue energy pulse fully awake inside him. For a brief second, his entire body lit up. Lines of pure energy traced his veins, his eyes, even the scars across his skin. And when the machine fired at him, the bolt of plasma hit nothing but light. The energy field around his body absorbed it. Like water into dry earth, Nira's mouth opened slightly in shock. She had seen force shields before, but never one coming from a living body. The human didn't slow down. With one hand, he grabbed the machine's weapon arm and crushed it like paper. Sparks flew. The machine tried to escape, but the human was faster, stronger, almost, not real. Within seconds, the enemy unit collapsed in a smoking heap. But the glow inside the human didn't stop. It kept pulsing, brighter and brighter. His breathing grew heavier. Nira stepped forward carefully. That's enough. Stop. The human turned toward her slowly now. For a terrifying second, she wasn't sure he still recognized her. His eyes were pure blue, no green left. Please, she said again, her voice softer this time. You saved me already. For a few long moments, there was only silence. Then finally, the light in his eyes dimmed slightly. The pulse slowed. He was in control again. Barely, but enough. Outside the window, the enemy ships began pulling back. Their scanners must have detected the energy spike coming from him. Nira let out a long breath. She hadn't realized she was holding. The human leaned against the wall, his voice rough but steady now. That's why I wasn't supposed to wake up, he said. Because I'm not a soldier anymore. Nira tilted her head. Then, what are you? His answer came slowly. I'm the last weapon. Silence settled over them again. But it wasn't heavy now. It felt calm. Together, they had survived. The last human and the alien girl who had chosen not to fear him. And whatever happened next, whether it was war, peace, or something stranger, they would face it side by side.